No, no. I'm still recovering from yesterday and all the festive season. Um, it's still the conversation this morning, and on this segment, you know how we do it. We talk about Lagos and everything that affects Lagos. Today's discussion is very, very crucial and very important. It affects Nigerians and not just Lagos residents alone. We're looking at protecting public infrastructure here in Lagos as at today, and you know we have newly constructed schools, bridges, rails, roads, healthcare facilities, drainages, parks, and you know mention to mention but a few. But Lagos State and of course the Lagos State government is making a lot of effort in ensuring that you know these infrastructure are being maintained, but sadly, we often have a case of vandalism, misuse, and of course, outright neglect of public infrastructure, leading to, of course, wasted taxpayers' money and disruptions to services that benefit millions. So, how can we foster a culture of civic responsibility? What should government now do and citizens alike do to protect, you know, these public assets? It is a very, very serious conversation we're having this morning. And joining us to shed light on this is Mr. Dapo Daramola. He's a seasoned social commentator and civic engagement advocate. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
We'll begin this way. I'd like you to give us a general assessment of a state of public infrastructure here in Lagos.
Well, for me, because I've been here for a while in Lagos State, I've seen different government come and go, from the military to civilian rule. And I tell you, what is public infrastructure? It's the asset infrastructure put together for the good of the public. It includes rail, it includes road, it includes ferry, it includes malls, schools, medical centers, and even security, you know.
Exactly.
And in the beauty of Lagos State, you know, I don't know, maybe that's why it's called City of Excellence, yeah? So you have the Nigerian police, you also have the RRS, you know, which the state is also funding so well, you know, to ensure that they safeguard the assets and the lives of people in Lagos. You also have, I mean, BRT, rail run by Lamata, you have ferry, you have malls, you have schools, you have medical centers, you have bridges, you know, so all these infrastructure are things put together to make life easy for over 22 million Nigerians, I mean Lagosians, and if you look at that fraction too, as a nation, there's like 10% of the entire nation's population reside in Lagos. So it means that the infrastructure that is put together by the government is even overstretched, you know, looking at the ratio of consumption, the population, and the infrastructure. But even as good and as with the intentions that government have, it means that we must safeguard them, because the same assets that we were put together with taxpayers' money and government allocation, which cost so much, we have to imbibe the culture of looking out for this infrastructure, maintaining them, because the first thing that happens when there is a misappropriation of energy and all that, the first thing people go for is, I want to go and destroy government infrastructure. But you don't know that that infrastructure is going to provide jobs for people. And it's going to provide quality of life. And when they continue to destroy, then taxpayers are paying so much, there's no return on that tax that they've paid to provide public facility or infrastructure or assets. And then from the point of government, government must also try to put structures in place that will monitor this infrastructure, maintain them as and when due, and at the same time ensure that there is access quality control in terms of the way it is used. You agree with me that, look at the overhead bridges that built, pedestrian bridges across Ikorodu Road. Most of the time you see kids, pregnant women, mothers pulling their kids across the express, that instead of using the infrastructure. So we have to, government must learn to do advocacy in terms of letting people know what it costs them to put this in place and the benefit that this infrastructure is bringing to the quality of life. Well, I mean, okay, look at, for example, when before the BRT came, we had all the motorways and all. Even though there was a red bus long time ago, but it wasn't. Yes, and so it was actually outsourced to private individuals. So there was no structure. Nobody was. So Agberos took over and all that. NURC took over everything. But now that the government has come to put a very good, convenient bus like the BRT buses, even the rail. I mean, I got into the rail the other day. It was as if I was abroad. You know, there was TV, charger. You're watching everything, the AC, and the speed at which the train was moving. So if we protect our infrastructures right, it will affect our quality of life. It will affect how much the taxpayers will pay. You know, when there is a tax deficit, if you can't borrow, the next thing that happens is we have to start looking for how to develop IGR, you know, internally generated revenue. And then, I mean, being privileged to be part of the IGR committee during a previous government in Lagos State and at the very top level, and I saw how government in Lagos State will strategize to raise funds and without causing too much harm in the pockets of citizens, you know. So it's something that if we get our acts right and we can manage and maintain, protect this infrastructure, it will create jobs. So if you can imagine, if you have like the bus terminals that they're building, Oyigbo and the rest, you know, and you have people sweeping and cleaning them, you are creating jobs. You know, you see women sweeping roads. I think Loma people, they clean the roads, and at critical time. Now, if you put the population of the people put to work alone, it's also benefiting. So it's infrastructure that creates jobs. But when you destroy these infrastructures, you cannot get to create job. And at the end of the day, you have to look in, and then you have to generate that revenue again to replace and to maintain and to even, you know, at times you might even go borrowing because these things aren't cheap anymore.
Okay, I like something you said that, you know, government, you know, do these things, put these infrastructures in place to ensure that citizens or residents have an easy life. I like that. But why is it that, you know, some citizens, you know, vandalize, you know, I know it's a mindset thing, you know. Why do you think they vandalize or just want to destroy, you know, public property?
I want to believe...
If they believe that, you know, this infrastructure is to make life easier.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, if you look at our society today, we have a mixed multitude. You have educated people, you have uneducated people, you have entitled people, and those that are not even civilized, okay? Now, how can you on earth look at the Third Mainland Bridge? You know, there was a time they were removing... Just when they had just, you know, fully rehabilitated
exactly.
That bridge. So it is the fact that some people don't have that knowledge of civic engagement that, okay, I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen of this country, and because I'm a citizen, I must protect what government has put in place. And it goes back to how we train our children, you know, how we train our young ones. And then because also government has tried so much to get people off the road, you know, miscreants and the rest. So the first thing they think is, they're not providing this for me. Let me go and I want to deal with government. So they go dealing with government by destroying, by burning things and putting all those infrastructures in a way that will now remove what is not even enough. Do you understand? I mean, how will somebody, I mean, we know that, go to some parks, go to, I mean, this so-called good boys, I don't want to use the negative name, you know, the next thing they do is once they are on a substance that is, you know, and they just feel that, there's nothing to eat. So that means economy is at play too.
So there's a connection between poverty,
unemployment,
unemployment,
exactly.
You know, yeah.
So all that are indices that leads to quick income. And you can imagine putting your, okay, take for example, you have in your own house, you bought a generator and some guys without any profiling just come and they carry the generator in a bag and they go away with it. Now tell me, the next thing you're going to think about is, where's my generator? But guess what? It costs you so much to buy that generator. But in the next 5 to 3, maybe 1 hour or 2, they may even have already buyer. Something you bought 50,000, they might end up selling it for 5,000, just to get that quick money and to fund their nefarious, frivolous lifestyle that will not even give them a perpetual benefit. Something that they just live on, and right now, after living on it, they are back to their old ways, and that thing keeps hurting them. And the painful thing is, when government try to engage these people to say, come, let's work together. We have built this infrastructure. We need to maintain it. They are ours. We need to put it in good form, in a state and in a shape that will be beneficial to the public good. They will tell you they are not ready. And some of them even circumvent it. You know, so as people, we must try as much as possible to look inwards and then to let the parents will have a lot to do, guardians have a lot to do, society leaders have a lot to do, local government councillors, pastors and imams, they have a lot to do. So there must be a conscious effort by all stakeholders to say, look, what government is putting in place is for us, by us, and it's funded by us. And because the money we're supposed to use to feed, if we're supposed to use allocation of a particular budget, that this is for recurrent, this is for consumption, and this is for capital. Now, because you do capital, more because you know that capital project will fund, will create jobs, that revenue will come for everybody, you know, no matter how small the wage is, at least something is coming in. And then you're engaging people, you're not just leaving them to think and to just feel that, hey, government owes me everything, you know. In sane climb, where people have social security number, you know, by the time you perpetrate a crime, you're caught. So, so the thing is, on the part of government, there must be an holistic strategy to data capture us, to know us. I know that we have data through different, we have LASRI. I mean, Lagos State has tried so well. They have LASRI, you have NIM, you have even voters card. All these things have things that that government is trying to data capture, but we need to synchronize them in a way that once you do something, your fingerprint, you can pick, but we're too many. Where would they start from? You understand?
We're too many.
We're too many.
We're not organized.
And we're not organized. So with all that in place, government must try to see that, okay, if we're putting so much money, we're putting 100 naira to put this
effort are you
so even if it's 1 kobo out of 100 naira, even if it's 10 kobo, or 10 naira, they're using to safeguard these assets that we've used 100 naira to build, it's going to be a long, it's going to give that that asset a long term, you know, and they can maintain it, they can sustain it, and at the same time, it will help to alleviate poverty. You know,
I like the fact that now we are not even putting the blame only on the people. You are not carrying government along. And you know, this now brings me to the question, like, you know, to what extent, you know, does government neglect or delayed maintenance, you know, to what extent does this affect this infrastructure, this government infrastructure deterioration?
Yeah, because yes, the extent, I mean, it affects.
I like the fact that you've started with the government.
Yeah, it affects it because when you delay in maintaining this infrastructure, first there is a problem of fear. Okay, people they're not confident. They don't have confidence in those infrastructures. They don't have, they cannot place reliance on what it is, and because you've delayed maintaining these things, what usually happens is they feel it's an abandoned project. So everybody feels, well, that's
It has become theirs. Use it.
You can use it as you like. Do you know that there's some bus stops you get to, some pedestrians overhead bridges that were built in the last 10 years by government. Some people have become lord and king at that very infrastructure. yeah. So you see them sleep, and then at the end of the day, they have bed space during the night. During the day is government owned. At night, our Ladimbi is our own.
Sure.
You understand? So, but because there is no continuous surveillance, there's no continuous maintenance, there's no continuous access control and control of who uses the place. So they feel it's our own. No, government is not coming here again. I mean, go to the railroad at Oshodi, coming from Oshodi, coming from Yaba, from railways to the railroad. And when you get to Oshodi, during the day, you see young boys smoking all manner of things and sleeping there. Now, those boys are a prey. I mean, they are a prey to anybody around there. In fact, thankfully, government has even made it easy. Now you have overhead bridges, pedestrian overhead bridges, and then they have cordon off. So they are not like in those days. I mean, you knew Oshodi 20 years ago. You can't even pass there. Both leg, human traffic, pedestrian and motoring. Motors don't have a place to pass. But now it's easier. But I'm just saying that on the part of government and on the part of the citizens, there's a lot to be done. So at the ward level, at the ward local government level, councillors should talk to their ward. It's not just to win votes, to get people to vote. I have supporters, I have a structure, I have infrastructure, I have political structure. No, you need to engage them that, look, this same government that we're working together to put our person in there. Once our person gets there, let us maintain, together. Let's work with them, let's maintain, let's even say we're going to guard Ajoni, Ajoshitiwani. Do you understand? It's owned by us and it's for us. And anybody that destroys it, destroys us. Because pipe-borne water is giving us life, water. The solar panels, the lights there, it's making the night, illuminates the night. And then the plan of Lagos being a smart city. We're talking of beggar city is in the old because everything is smart.
Smart city.
You do your ride. Now the state has provided lag ride. They've provided Lamata.
Even smart bins.
Yeah, exactly. So what we're you now have recycled. You can recycle. You can classify your waste in a way that you have recycle the ones you need to throw away, medical waste and toxic waste. So it is just something that the government is doing. But again, government must consciously create an advocacy, a policy that will go to grassroots and educate the people that, look, government can do more if we safeguard the little that taxpayers have done. LRS is doing so well for the state, and no matter what they generate, it will never be enough if we continue to destroy our infrastructure. And thankfully, Lagos has Lamata, bus ferry, terminals that they've built. They have infrastructure, they have primary schools, they have medical facilities they've built, and they're funding. And they're also doing roads. So if look at the Oniko Stadium during COVID, it became a center for emergency, and you won't believe that, okay, if that infrastructure was not there and there such a thing like COVID came and they didn't have it, everybody was in a lockdown. Everybody, hotels were locked down, So that place will become a place for a first respondent, where you take people to an emergency. So when we have all these things in place, it helps. Like if there is an emergency now, how do we evacuate people? When there is no bridge, when there is no good road, how do you want to, let's even say a building is burning, how will firefighters get there? And of course, like I said, since it's government, LASEMA is also there. When there's a couple of times that we had fire at the bridge, that Otedola stretch. I don't know why there's always fire there.
Always fire there.
But these guys have to get there. Help cannot get there. You have fireworks, you have firefighters, have Lamata rescue mission. They want to get there. LASEMA, emergency. The emergency
State Emergency Management Agency.
They want to get there to evacuate. Whenever there is a building collapse. Now, building collapse is because when you have infrastructure and you are putting too many chemicals in place, I mean, I know of a state, I think it's Bodija, when some people bought bombs, all these miners,
Yes,
and it affected,
Bodija in
yes, it affected so many buildings, you know. So whatever we have, again, we have to, like I said, government has a lot of role to play, but they must come up with a blueprint, a strategy that will help to put structures in place that this is your role, this is the role of government, this is the role of citizens. And when you have such infrastructure within your jurisdiction, you also have a role to play.
Talking about roles, do we have the laws or are there strong penalties for vandalism, for those who destroy government property, you know? And if we do not have, do you think it is something, you know, that government can look into? Because if there are no consequences for your actions, you know, we'll continue to, you know, have this type of things happen.
So you continue to have people, deviants will continue to.
So are you aware of any current penalties for people? Because we hear that they arrested them.
Yes.
So what happens after that?
Okay, good question. Now, you know that government will always have some reprimand in place. I mean, some things that will be like a safeguard. If you do this, you get this. Yeah? But again, a lot of times, even the law, the people that are supposed to enforce that, too, they're the problem. Because you arrest somebody as simple as don't pass express, use the pedestrian cross the pedestrian bridge, is you still find people going against that order, and then they cross, pregnant women even carrying another child, and they're running across the Ikorodu road. Now, take for example at Ojota, you have Kai.
They're stationed there.
They're stationed there. But at times they look the other way because they are overwhelmed by the problems. These people are exactly. So by the time you do that, and when you catch one person that is either a political thug or someone that has so much people around him that is ready to create problems, they just say, look, just let them go. How many do you want to? How many will you catch? And then once they are caught and they are taken straight to reprimand, or there's instant justice and consequences, and then it's escalated, people will know that, no, don't do this. In other climates, I mean, with Nigerians travel abroad, there's some things you can't even do. And you know that if I do this, I'm coming back home. Well, last. So if such things are strengthened, those laws are strengthened, the law enforcement agents are strengthened, and even the kick against indiscipline, you know, they're empowered. I'm sure it's not that they're empowered. But again, the operatives too must ensure that they follow due process, because there's a level to which you take action that puts you at the other side, that jeopardizes your action. Take for example, you arrest somebody, you're not supposed to start beating and slapping and hitting. Just take the person and take him through the normal process of law, so the person will know. You don't just do instant justice and you feel you are the law at that time. So I think government too has to look at that. It's something that we must look at holistically, because for us to get the kind of state where we desire, we must strategically and tactically implement those policies in a way that is user-friendly. Everybody knows it. Everybody understands the rules. Everybody understands what I shouldn't do. My role as a citizen, this is what I should do, and this is how much I should pay as tax, you know, and this is how much, when I need help, this is where I can go to. Look at Ilera Eko, for example, you know, the health infrastructure that government has put in place. I mean, for those that are aware, that know about it, they're enjoying the benefit. Some don't know. So if the so-called low-end, I mean, people that the critical mass that don't have access to healthcare, they can either through their ward, local government or councillors have this information, and they begin to enjoy these benefits. Yeah, they might have a rethink. That, so you mean all these things? I'm not paying. Education is free. Healthcare is free. But somebody is picking the bill somewhere. So, but that bill is being funded and financed by taxpayers, allocation from federal government and all that. And for as long as you're providing that, it's also affecting what is apportioned to other consumption head as a state.
Okay. I want to look at the role of community policing in form of neighborhood watch groups in Lagos. You know, what role can they play in ensuring that, you know, these infrastructures are being safeguarded?
Yeah, community policing and the neighborhood watch, the neighborhood safety, neighborhood watch.
Neighborhood watch.
Yeah. So put together by Lagos State. Government has tried so much to make sure that I've seen what they've done, because in my area where I reside, I see them. They have bicycles, the neighborhood watch people, and then for community policing, I know the divisions are you know, other area command, they have CDAs that from time to time have interactions with police, and their executive go to meet them. So when there's anything, just a dial away, they're here. So the things that this security apparatus can do is to help from time, especially the neighborhood people, is to continue to, you know, as they carry out their surveillance with their bicycle, you know, they look at this infrastructure, they engage people when they see that there's an abuse of the use of infrastructure. And again, the public must know that these people are there to watch over you, your behavior and all that. And they must also be empowered, because some of these guys are just carrying nothing, not even a radio, walkie-talkie, yeah. And the people you are watching over, they have sophisticated.
Don't you think residents believe that it's because they can see, you know, that people are watching them?
Yeah.
That is why they can still carry out, you know, this vandalism and destruction of properties. You mentioned something about a camera, you know, being put everywhere.
Yeah.
Would you suggest that would, you know, make better sense in the area of, you know, taking care of government property?
Yes, the camera, you see, like, that's also an infrastructure. Now, if cameras are put at different, the cameras must be high away.
High, yeah.
Yeah,
and you don't even
you can't reach it.
Yeah.
And those things are well protected. And then once they are protected, it's easy for it to work. And then where the back end is, who is at the back end?
Exactly.
How do you communicate that somebody is removing something at this point in time? The guy that is there probably doesn't have credit on his phone, and then doesn't have gadgets that he can call in. Okay, maybe they have a CUG that you don't need to pay. You just keep within that, the network of the operatives, and once they dial, whether they have credit or not, they can always dial their base or control, and you build regional or local government based backup that they work hand in hand with the police. Take for example, LASMA and police, they work hand in hand. Not police directly.
Police, yeah.
They have the GMT, Governor Monitoring Team, that works with them.
Okay.
It's a unit that works with LASMA. So when the thing begins to get to where the citizens are trying to overpower or they're trying to bully the officials, they have a backup that can protect them and ensure that they enforce the law. Of course, they also have abuse that they do. I mean, the LASMA guys, and the governor has come out on several occasions that this is where your job ends. Just do this. You're not supposed to be the one to arrest, enforce, then give judgment. You don't just hand them over to the authorities and maintain and manage traffic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take this advocacy to schools now. Okay?
Exactly.
What role should civic education now play in our schools?
Well, for me, I'd always thought that, you know, when we were growing up, maybe our generation, we had social studies. Moral instructions. You had, they were teaching us culture. Some aspect of sociology being cascaded down to that level of primary school, you know, and then we knew what our values are. You wake up, you greet your elders, you wake up, you see an elder, you help them carry something, you do this, you see government infrastructure, you respect it. Now, in this current generation, you tell your child, in fact, they will go, hi dad, hi mom. If they even say hi, do you understand? we will kneel down for everybody in that community.
Is it not our fault as parents now?
You see the discussion. If we enter, we won't end here.
We end it, I know.
Because it is our fault. It's not our fault because the society has evolved in a way that, you know, at that time we were at a very, I don't use primitive stage, we're more at a stage of innocence.
When Nigeria itself was just about 20.
Exactly. Not even Nigeria. Exactly.
I said the whole, when in Lagos today we have about 20 million.
Yeah, about 22. Yeah. So if you look at that, if you look at the population and you look at social change, the way the society evolved from that time of innocence, from the time of organic, simple behavior, you know, very yes is yes, good morning is good morning, you know. Anything you say then, that's the way it is. But society has evolved so much that you find out that people have different culture, different lifestyle, different beliefs. You have the one that is even bad now is you have AI telling you everything, and then you have the alpha generation, Gen Z, we no go agree, you can't, you know, so the parents are actually fighting for the upbringing of their children. And then you've invested so much in their school, in their education, and you don't want to see that go. So you are between, it's better you operate with them in their space. So taking it to school now, advocacy, we must ensure by way of either a deliberate effort by either SUBEB, if it's, I mean, for Lagos State, and then for the Ministry of Education to infuse that curriculum in their education so that you catch them from cradle and instill that behavioral tendency and belief in them so that as they grow, they begin to understand that this is those days, green, white, green Nigerian flag was revered. Pride, you know, when we go for march pass, I mean, I went to command staff school in Kaduna, so when we go for march pass, our flag is, but now if you see the flag, they just throw it anywhere, you know, so it's I think it's something that is not just primary school, it's also secondary school, because once you miss that foundation, you can't do anything. So you must imbibe it in them and then make sure that they understand what society values and what culture is, who are we, you know, as a people, what do we believe in? We are a people that like to do things properly, and we must ensure that we keep that in wrap so that our children can maintain the infrastructure that we've put together.
And of course, we have the media who also have a, you know,
the media.
Yes, how can the media help shape the attitude of the people? The
media is a very complex mix right now, because, you know, you and I, those days we wake up 4 o'clock and you hear bang, 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 Sesame Street. You hear first. You hear the national anthem. You hear the pledge.
You start with the colorful line.
The rainbow, like you know, colors. So you look at all that, and your day is. There's that time of the day where you know that the first thing you hear is the national anthem, the pledge. Then they will come. There's Sesame Street for some of us that would go to Sesame Street, and then for some stations we didn't have so many stations like this, so you had only NTA telling you the authentic news. But now, in fact, NTA is chasing social media to authenticate, so everybody is a news provider. So the news, the media right now too can do a lot, because government has to own a space in digital media, and then major players like this LTV2 has, I know they have media handles and all that. So the media has a lot to play, instead of just leaving the media to other people who are just social and content creator. And these content creators, and this exactly. So these content creators too, there must be something in place that will let them say that when you are creating your content, there must be a civic end to it, you know, maybe a payoff line at the end of the day that we are a proud people, let's maintain what we have, it's ours, even though yes, this is this. Just like the caveat they always say, tobacco smokers are liable to die young. So there's that caveat. So in everything you produce and provide, there is that consciousness that this is our asset, this is produced and maintained by taxpayers, it's our national It's a civic responsibility to protect our national assets, because this is what our parents have used to grow and to earn revenue, and has provided us with livelihood that we can see today. So it's not just media, but what the media will do. Okay, it's not going to be an easy thing, but all stakeholders in media must come together, and you must create that, because media is not cheap too. You must create that buffer that people can pull from, just like they try to do through the Rebranding Nigeria project, MAMSA project, all the projects we've seen in the past. You know, government had always tried to do something, but I think there must be a new strategy because of the complexity of the society and the media engagement. Because media engagement is not just, you can't even, no government can control media. Even if you don't want it, it could come in through cyberspace, you know, and it could come in through anything. I mean, media now is borderless, you know, so it's...
I'm still, you know, going to ask you questions about, you know, the people, about the citizens, about residents. Okay, so how does public trust, you know, public trust in governance, you know, affect people's behavior towards this infrastructure?
Yeah. So the public trust is something that is one of the most critical things, because, you know, when people believe that the monies that people are...
They've lost hope.
They've lost hope. And the people feel that these people don't care about us. They're just spending money, they're just stealing money, they're just filtering money away, and you're not communicating. Now, when you say that I want to build a bridge, and this bridge is going to cost 10 trillion, the first thing that a common man will think is 10 trillion. What do they want to do with all that kind of money? They want to eat the money again. So the thing is, the trust that people have with government has to create that conscious effort to provide avenues that for the citizens to trust that what they're doing, their intentions are right. If you look at lately, most of the TV stations are having live program of states and their scorecard, what they're doing, and all that. Now, that is a subtle way of trying to say
to gain trust.
Accountability, to win the trust, transparency, and all that. So you find out that when government is commissioning projects and they're putting figures to it that this project is costing us so. But again, maybe in the past, government have at one point or the other created that distrust issue where people think when you're a government, you're just stealing money and doing that. But you remember that when they say something is, I think it was during the COVID period that some things came up and they said they were providing something for citizens and it's going to cost this amount. And I remember I was involved in a group that, you know, had to talk on this issue. And when we narrowed down how much the money is, we realized that when they divide that money for COVID to so fraction, it was supposed to be a bailout from government, you know, about I think 5 billion or thereabout, or some amount, and we divided it by the population of Lagos. At the end of the day, guess how much came to one person? It was less than 5,000. But when you hear the figure, it's big. But when you look at the population and you do it per capita, you know, you do it per citizen, it's nothing but, it's just like, it can't even buy you a crate of egg. Do you understand? So you now hear figure. So the thing is, we need to educate our people and let them know that this amount is going to be allocated in this order. This is what it can provide. Then people will begin to have trust. Then when you begin to give them more like a feedback, that this is what we've been able to achieve with your tax. This is what we've been able to do with all the monies we are getting. And if you just oppose what you are getting with what you have spent, you know that we are actually funding this by IGR, not just allocation.
Okay.
You know.
I'm talking from a resident point of view now. Do you think we people as Lagosians, as residents, we feel ownership of government property?
Well, it's in two ways. For some of us that live in a well-structured community within Lagos, and you can feel government, you can feel their impact. Yeah, we have that sense of ownership. We have that sense of, yes, I can see government involvement. I can see how government engagement and infrastructure has affected me in a positive way. Take for example, maybe your street wasn't well lit before, and then you just find out that either your councillor, your House of Rep or whatever, or your the symbol of government in that vicinity have been able to provide that. Then you have places where they provide boreholes, water system. Some even provide roads, they do drainages and all that. But there's some places that government even wants to go there to do something.
Okay.
They will frustrate government. That is this what you can give? Is this all you can give us? Is this all you can give us? We know how much you are eating. We know how much you are stealing, because you already have this mistrust, this distrust, this mentality of they are not giving us, is not enough. But when you look at calculate the population of people at that location, you realize that even if you throw one billion naira there, it may not have so much impact or effect because of the population, because of how dilapidated that environment is. Look at those places where you have buildings collapse and all that. Check the soil test, check the earth crust there. The kind of, Lagos is like 80% of water.
The agency is responsible for doing that before that final collapse. How are you supposed to hold them responsible first?
Well, for me, I think first and foremost, before that thing happens, like you said, you have agencies that should be involved. Yeah. But because on several occasions, you have crooks, touts, and when it happens, somebody, as long as you've not been able to hold somebody responsible, whether in office, it will continue to happen. You have so many middlemen that are go to the ministry involved in that thing. You find that especially when it comes to such places, and that's why you see that the current commissioner is not sparing anybody. People have built on where they shouldn't build. And when the guy pulls down everything, everybody is like, hey, government is wicked. They're supposed to provide this. But you have breached the law. Of course, they cannot.
You're not aware.
Yeah.
You must have been told.
Yes. And a lot of times they will tell them, they will write them, and because they don't act in time, you don't notify somebody of something that is doing that is wrong, and you notify and then you forget, and then come back, and then the people you are sending there are collecting money that say, don't worry, we'll cover it. The day the thing will happen, then they will now say, but it's government that gave us approval. And then government too must begin to hold people responsible within the system for giving such approval, because our people have a way of compromising us, compromising government officials. Like, okay, this is what they've said. Is there another way
can we cut
corners? Or something. You can't continue to do that, because everything has implications and repercussions. So I think government, on its own part, must also hold such people responsible. If there is any collapse, who gave the approval? Who gave this? I mean, look at the Osborne one that killed. I mean, such gigantic edifice came down. Even the owner was also gone. And other people. And today, such places should never, you shouldn't even build anything there, just to show that, look, we cannot take this anymore. There must be consequences, and they must begin to set precedences that will not allow. And then when you vandalize, they should make it open. You know, when you vandalize,
they should name and shame them.
Name and shame, even no matter how low the person is, they must be hall of shame, kind of. That's you say, how many people have been in this list? And once you're in that list, you should be deprived from getting anything in the state. You know, even if it's maybe 10 years or thereabout, just give them.
Serve as a deterrent.
Yes, you want healthcare, you can't get. Your child cannot go to university.
Yes, you can't go to school.
You can't go to school. You can't have access to anything until you are not put in jail, but you'll be stripped of some basic amenities.
Thank you very much. As we have learned today, you know, there should be consequences for our actions, and of course, government and us people are all involved in protecting public infrastructure in Lagos. Thank you very much, Dapo Daramola, social commentator and, you know, an advocate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. The program continues shortly after this break.